Support for this podcast comes from Progressive. What would you do with an extra $800? Buy a plane ticket? Pay down your student loan? Treat yourself to those shoes you've been eyeing. With Progressive, you could find out. Drivers who switch and save an average of $796 on car insurance. Get your quote online at Progressive.com and see how much you could be saving. National average annual car insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2019.
Starbane's Avenue.
Coming to you live from our houses in Los Angeles, California, it's Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone, your comedy field guide to life. Tonight, taxes. Tax time is upon us, which means you've got to gather up your 1099 forms, pull out your Schedule A, get out your 1040, grab a pencil, and use it to commit harikari. Dr. Nicolas Duquette from the Price School of Public Policy at USC is here to answer our questions about taxation. We promise it won't be a taxing experience. Plus, quotations. We'll get to those favorite quotes we didn't have time for in the last show. As Benjamin Franklin said, promises may get thee friends, but non-performance will turn them into enemies. We don't want to be nobody's enemies, so we promise we'll deliver memorable quotations. I'm Adam Felber, the man who audits every show, trying to itemize our topics into the correct conversational category and end our broadcast on line 23 without owing the audience an incoherency penalty. And now, please welcome the woman who deducts logic from every conversational return she files, Paula Poundstone!
Hey, you guys! So lovely to be here. Hey, Adam, Tony, Bonnie, and thanks to tonight's house band, trumpeter Christopher Still from the Los Angeles Philharmonic. Thank you, Christopher, for being with us.
Wow, Christopher Still. We got a ringer in here tonight.
Yeah, we're way up. We're way up in the musical hierarchy, and
Wow.
and you can hear it. Nice.
Yeah, I tell you, that intro was like an aerobic exercise for me, Paula. Take over.
Was it?
Yeah, it
Why?
was taxing.
Why?
I think Ken Lezebnik's trying to kill me. A lot of hard
yeah.
consonants in there. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that consonants could be tiring. Maybe that's what's wrong with me all the time.
I need a nap.
I didn't know. You know what I do late at night is I make those cameo videos that we talk about sometimes. I make videos that people order through Cameo, and they are messages from one person to another. So, somebody will write and say, like, here's an example of one that happened recently. Somebody wrote and said, my mother-in-law, I want you to say blah, blah, blah to my mother-in-law for me, okay? And so here's how I do it. I say the blah, 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 and then usually I say, hey, this is Paula Poundstone, and, Ursula was the mother-in-law's, and I say, Ursula, it's me, Paula Poundstone, and I'm talking to you on behalf of, Betsy, and, Betsy wants you to know blah, 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 right? And then I just sort of drift off and I talk. In the way that you might be familiar with. And
Yes.
so
I am.
So I said on this one for Betsy's mother-in-law, Ursula, I said, somewhere along the way, I said, I have 9 cats and 2 big dogs. And then I said, well, so I live alone. Maybe that's why. And then I said, well, no, really, it's probably because I don't like sex. And then I said, I work so hard, Ursula. The idea, and this, frankly, is a joke from my act, I say, the idea that I would go into my bedroom and there'd be someone in there with whom I had to have an activity is just upsetting to me. So, whatever. And then I talk a little bit more. I say, okay, Ursula, love from Betsy and good talking to you. End of thing. So now I get a note from Betsy saying, I can't use that video because it is going to weird my mother-in-law out that you don't have sex. Oh my God. Is that the strangest thing you ever? I'm like, okay, what? And this is the question that's been plaguing me ever since. It's literally kept me up at night. Why does Ursula want me to have sex? Why is that important to Ursula? What business is it of hers?
Well, that's the nerve. If I may venture an opinion, Paula Poundstone, I don't think Ursula really wants you to have sex. She might consider
does.
it. She might consider it unusual that you would choose to talk about that in a message from her to her mother-in-law.
Well, the likelihood, so we're assuming then, I mean, unless
Yeah.
it's a same-sex couple, we're assuming that Betsy is married to Ursula's son. Well, I don't know what Ursula thinks they're doing together, but probably the same thing that Ursula did to get Betsy to begin with. So I don't think I'm broaching with mentioning sex a fresh topic to either Betsy or Ursula. And honestly, I didn't describe sex. I said I didn't do it. It would be one thing if I talked about a penis plunging into a vagina. That's not what I said.
Yeah, but then again, you did bring the whole topic up, didn't you?
No. No. I said the idea that I would go into my bedroom and there'd be someone in there with whom I had to have an activity is just upsetting to me. Well, apparently, see, my guess is Ursula would have thought it was funny, but it's Betsy that had a problem with it.
What if Ursula was recently widowed? That would be an incredibly depressing message.
No, if Ursula was recently widowed, then we're in the same situation.
Right. Except you're reminding her of the empty bedroom she comes home to every day.
No, I'm showing her the glories of it. Ursula, go to sleep. Get up. Do something fun the next day. Now you're coming up with a dark background to the story. I don't think that was the case.
You think
way.
Ursula just wants you to get it on with somebody?
Why does Ursula want me to have sex? The question is pounding away at me. It's eating away at me. Why does Ursula want me to have sex? It's not Ursula's business. Speaking of business, Adam.
Yes.
As treasurer
you're right.
of
You're
our
right.
book club.
It's time for our book club, our reading of Moby Dick. Our slow,
as
grinding
treasurer
sail
of
through the oceans.
Our recently founded book club. And by the way, I have tweeted to John Favreau from Pod Save America and tried to invite him to join our book club. Haven't heard a word from him.
Oh, man.
But
He's
so
probably
be
just
it.
thinking about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, probably. He's probably, trying to get the book to catch up. Just hasn't had time to respond. That's got to be it.
That's probably it.
So, but I am the treasurer of the book club, and I would like to make my weekly report. This week, I did buy some tub toys in order to perform a reenactment of the ship scenes in Moby Dick. So we are another $9.99 in the red, and I'm not happy to say that we have had no income this week. I know I've put Bonnie Burns on to coming up with a fundraising device because, the pressures of being the treasurer, that and recently upsetting Ursula have really, sidelined me.
Bonnie, how's the fundraising going? If Paula spent $9.99 on tub toys, where are we with fundraising?
Yeah, so I think which she should know because she's a treasurer. I think she's about $11.98 or something out of pocket. I haven't figured out yet what the fundraiser should be. I'm still contemplating it, and I don't want to clutter up what it's going to be with a lot of unnecessary thoughts. So I'm
okay,
keeping
but
it
we're
quiet
going to
for
need
now.
that money. Paula's spending this club under the out of commission. We're going to need you to do something. Set up a Kickstarter or something, Bonnie.
No,
Small
I'll
fortune
have it
has
by
gone
next
into
week.
the book club. A small
I know.
fortune
I'll have it.
already.
I'll have it by next week.
All right.
All right.
I have a
sounds-
theme song. But I don't think I have the nerve to sing it.
A theme song for the book club?
I do. I mean, we could put that out, but I don't think we can put it out because I don't think I even have the nerve to sing it.
Oh, of course you do. Sing it.
No,
Sing.
I think this is what I think it's like. Sometimes I get these ideas that I think are like great ideas, and then I call Paula and I go, what about this? And then even as I'm telling it, I think it must have been like I was by myself and I thought this was a great idea. And then when I said it out loud, it's not such a great idea. And
Now, let me
so
ask you,
I'm
was that the
thinking-
theme song right there?
No.
Okay.
The theme song might be, I thought this was good. And then like, okay, I hope this isn't like when a comedian is on stage and then like they tell a joke and the whole audience is just like sitting there and they don't laugh at all. Okay?
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. I will say this, at least I came up with a theme song for the book club.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, I hope I don't laugh. Okay. Moby Dick is smarter than the average whale. Moby Dick is smarter than a millionaire. When you're out at sea, you will find him there, scarfing up more vessels than the average whale. Lose your leg, lose your leg, lose your leg.
Well, that's just fantastic. I love that. That's
My favorite part is lose your leg. It reminds me of Ooga Shaka, Ooga Shaka. Lose
Yeah.
your leg, lose your leg.
it's just there's
Wow.
so many layers to it, Bonnie. I love it. I love that he's smarter than the average whale and a millionaire.
Yeah.
You know,
Not quite
this
sure what led to that
explains-
non-rhyming inspiration, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, I
This
know.
there was a funny thing about the rhymes, wasn't there? But this explains why you weren't available on the phone all week.
Yeah.
This must have really taken some time.
Do I drum up work for my client Paula, or do I write the theme song to the Moby Dick book club?
No, but so
And
often.
I hate to be a stickler. I love that song, but it's a theme song for Moby Dick, not for a book club.
Oh, that's a good point. You're gonna have to do
well.
a new theme
We're
song
gonna need a
every
new
time
song
you change
next
the
week.
book.
Yeah, let's come up with one for the club.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, how about this? Eat, Pray, Fuck is a stupid book. Lose your leg, lose your leg, lose your leg.
All right, and on that, let's turn to our discussion of today's chapters. Now, we went ahead and got ambitious. We read chapters 17, the Ramadan, through 22, where the ship actually takes off. So, Paula Poundstone, this podcast is named after you. So, what'd you think?
Well, I added a little. I read Ramadama Ding Dong, which is
Yeah.
it's Ramadan with jazz hands.
Okay.
So, yeah, the Ramadan thing was that Queequeg was in his in room, and Ishmael, can't stir him. And they eventually, I don't think they broke the door down, did they? Eventually, maybe they got a key and went in and
No,
and
they
he was
busted in.
Oh, did they? And it turns out that Queequeg was worshiping. He was in sort of a worshiping trance, and he just wasn't going to get up and get the door. So take away the worshiping part, and it's probably like lots and lots of partners. When my kids lived at home, how many times did I have to say, someone's at the door? And no one was, apparently I'm the only one who can get the door. I didn't realize that they were participating in Ramadan at the time. And then after that, after the Ramadan chapter, was that the one where, they meet Elijah, I think? They
meet Elijah, who's clearly a crazy man who's got some prophecies he wants to say about what's going to happen on the Pequod, but doesn't quite say it.
Yeah. It's sort of, foreshadowing that something weird is going to happen on the Pequod. And then, again, keeping up with the religious theme, Elijah, who they don't know what to make of Elijah. He's just a weird guy they bump into on the street. And then he hides the afikomen, and
Does he?
they have to go look for it.
Yeah, I must have just kind of glazed over during that part of that chapter.
Yeah, that happens. And then at one point, Ishmael, maybe in the next chapter when he's talking about when they're boarding the ship and the ship's been loaded and everything, there's this great quote where he says, "When a man suspects any wrong, it sometimes happens that if he be already involved in the matter, he insensibly strives to cover up his suspicions even from himself." And, I listened to the audio version of the book, and right at that point, you could just hear Mike Pence wailing in the background of the recording.
I had the same thought. It's absolutely that sort of like that's Mike Pence and I guess many other Republicans managed to willfully blind themselves to stuff.
Mike Pence is all throughout Moby Dick.
He really is.
Melville was so prescient. He has Mike Pence in here over and over again. When a man suspects any wrong, it sometimes happens that if he be already involved in the matter, he insensibly strives to cover up his suspicions, even from himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, the guy you work for dispatches a mob to murder you on Capitol Hill.
Yeah. Yeah. So the new copies of Moby Dick, instead of having a picture of Ahab and the whale on the cover, have the mob and the noose on the cover. It actually uses the Capitol.
That is some trenchant analysis, Paula Poundstone.
Yeah. So that's what I got. What about you guys?
Let's go to Sherman Oaks and Tony Anita Hull for her close and incisive reading of the text.
Yeah, so we're 22 chapters in, and we haven't even met Captain Ahab yet. There have been chapters about every meal, but still no Captain Ahab.
I got to tell you, Tony, I'm kind of liking the fact we haven't met him yet. It's building up this tension because remember to still saying last week I was pointing out that there was this long speech that they were rationalizing that, I'm sure he'll be fine. And now there's been this one more reference from the owner of the boat as they're setting out to sea. And he's like, oh, I'm sure he'll come out as soon as the sun emerges and that'll do him a world of good.
It's like he's getting better all the time.
Oh, yeah, don't you worry about a thing. Just go out there. He'll be as right as rain.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Huh. So you're missing that we haven't met Captain Ahab yet?
Yeah.
Well, does this make you feel better? I listened to the whole book already. He's coming.
Unless you have something else, Tony, we'll go up to Simi Valley. Bonnie Burns.
Well, Melville has this sense of humor. It really made me laugh when they're trying to get Queequeg, out of the room, and they think that he's dead, and the landlady said, paint a sign, no suicides permitted here, and no smoking in the parlor.
I love that line, and she tags it, too. She tags the joke. She says, no smoking in the parlor, and then says something like, you might as well kill two birds with one stone.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. And then I forget
I'd already
what the
heard
name
that
is.
from one of Tom Baudette's Motel 6 commercials. So that didn't... I just saw Melville ripping off Tom Baudette.
And then the whatever those guys' names that have the ship, they get the contract signed.
Oh, right. The two. Okay, yes, got you.
Bledad and whatever his name was.
The recruiters, right.
The recruiters.
The owners, the ship
and then
owners.
they keep calling Queequeg Hedgehog and Quahog.
Quahog, which is a clam from that region.
Oh, Quahog.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then I looked up Humbug and what was it? He was nothing but a humbug trying to be a bugbear. I had to look that up, but I thought it was a great sentence. Did you guys know what that was?
No. Well, humbug, isn't that like Dickens, just something that's not real?
Imposter.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's
I didn't know that. I'll have to put that in
An
the word, in
imposter-
the vocabulary song.
it's lies and nonsense is the bah humbug thing, as I always took it at least.
And then what about the bugbear?
What's a bugbear?
Isn't it a big mythical
monst-
animal or something? Yeah.
Yeah, in the sense, an imposter trying to be a monster. So,
Oh, that's great.
I breezed right by that.
Bonnie, you've been doing your homework,
Yeah.
writing theme songs and taking names.
hey,
All I want to add to all this from my perspective before we get to whatever Ken Lezebnik has to say about it is that, number one, it's kind of interesting because I think Ishmael might be an atheist, which is kind of awesome. Basically saying that Queequeg's religion is no more or less ridiculous than any of them. But also, he's such a drama queen. I love the giant freak out that he pulls just because Queequeg won't open the door. He's screaming like, "Stroke! Get a doctor! Apoplectic fit!" He's literally screaming and jumping and running around, and it's really funny that he, like, Jewish mother wise, he just goes from 0 to he's dead in a crash in 10 seconds.
And yet he's going to be a whaler.
I know, he's gonna panic.
that's true.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's get to book club president Ken Lezebnik and his opinions, because he sent us an email with this update. Wait, I'm president? How did that happen? Well, your president is in Brooklyn looking at the New York harbor and breathing fresh air. Ishmael told us he goes to sea as a sailor because, quote, of the wholesome exercise and pure air of the forecastle deck. In this world, headwinds are far more prevalent than winds from astern. That is, if you never violate the Pythagorean maxim. What is he saying here, asked Ken. The Pythagorean injunction is to avoid eating beans, which causes flatulence. Really, that's what that really refers to. As we find out week after week, Moby Dick shies away from no part of the human experience.
I did notice the fart joke in chapter 1.
Yes, and you mentioned it in chapter 1 weeks ago when we were covering chapter 1.
Yeah, Ken just keeps saying he's in Brooklyn. Well, that's pretty funny because he's just been spotted in San Antonio, Texas. So I don't really see how the Brooklyn thing.
Yeah, he's in San Antonio, Texas, and he's not making a lot of headway in Moby Dick. Maybe he's just really fascinated with that first chapter, but he does seem to be punting it downfield.
Yeah.
Speaking of punting, Paula, I'm going to fall back 5 yards and ask if you're ready to bring out a vocabulary word.
I have a word, Adam. It's ubiquitous. It's an adjective that means, and it means present, appearing, or found everywhere. I'd heard the word ubiquitous many, many times, but honestly, I never knew what it meant. So here, I'll use it in a sentence. The corner bar is ubiquitous in Milwaukee. Adam, answer the phone.
What?
Answer the phone.
All right, the contest is over. Still getting calls, huh? Okay. Hello?
Hi, Adam. It's me, Fairbanks Elementary School second grade teacher, Miss Nancy. I would like to perform this week's vocabulary song.
Miss Nancy. How nice to hear from you. How's the distance learning teaching going?
Oh, Adam, it is not easy. I want people to wear their masks and stay away from crowds so we can defeat this virus and get kids back in the classroom where they belong. It's so hard to teach second graders online. And instead of playing Duck, Duck, Goose, we play a game called Just Sit There and Don't Worry About the Fucking Goose.
Wow, you play that game with that name with second graders?
No, I threw in the fucking because it's a podcast.
Well, thank you for that. And I always admire a second grade teacher's willing to use their first name.
I felt free because it's a podcast.
Yeah. I'm glad that we were able to help you feel that sense of freedom. All right, Miss Nancy. I don't see any reason not, if it's okay, if it's all right with Paula Poundstone, I don't see any reason not to let you sing the vocabulary song.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead, Miss Nancy. Thank you very much. All right, here goes. This week's word is ubiquitous. It's an adjective that means presence, appearing, or found everywhere. So many men are growing facial hair. Last week's word was obstreperous. It's an adjective that means noisy and difficult to control. Mo won't stop barking at people when they stroll. The week before that, the word was evanescent. It's an adjective that means, I had it a minute ago. I can almost see it. Smells like Evan. No, that's not it. Oh, quickly fading from sight, memory, or existence, like crews reflecting on the time they tried to kill Pence. Going back before that, we had rictus. It's a noun that means a fixed grimace or grin. I'm happy for the best actress, even though I didn't win. And not long ago, we had decoction. It's a noun that means the action or process of extracting the essence of something, an important part of natural healing. Let's never forget gallimaufry, which Paula pronounced wrong until nobody James Hyder corrected her. It's a noun that means confused jumble or medley of things. Hodgepodge, who's podge, hodgepodge. Adam doesn't think the song is replicable, but I do. Paula does too.
Miss Nancy.
That was really well done, Miss Nancy.
Yeah.
Oh, Miss Nancy, that was great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think you're better at the vocabulary song than I am, if you can believe that.
And I guess you've proved me wrong.
It was fun to do, but I was really, really nervous because I know Paula has set such a high bar.
I know, but I want to say, Miss Nancy, you hit both notes.
Oh, thank you, Adam. Coming from you, that is high praise.
Yeah, there are two notes in that song, and you hit them both. And you also proved me wrong because you proved that the song is replicable because there you just replicated it, Paula's song perfectly.
Oh, we sing it in my distance learning second grade class all the time.
I'm sure they love the bit about Putanesca. Well, thanks so much, Miss Nancy, for calling in.
Yeah, it was good talking to you. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta put myself
Thanks,
in,
Miss Nancy.
a gallery
Thank you.
view. I gotta be in gallery view.
Thank you. Why can't I hang out with her
Bye-bye.
after the game? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Coming up, Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. said...
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Miss
I'll talk
Nancy.
to you later.
I'm
Bye-bye.
hanging up the phone now.
All right, you do that. That's gonna disconnect us. Go ahead.
I would hope. Click. Coming up, Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. said...
Bye-bye.
I like to pay...
Bye-bye.
Oh, Jesus
I don't
Christ.
think your
Bye.
phone is working. Bye-bye.
I guess not. Okay. Bye now. Coming up, Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. said, I like to pay taxes. With them, I buy civilization. We'll hear about the role of taxes in all our lives. That's next on Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone. Bye, Miss Nancy.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There's something wrong with your phone, Adam.
I'm sure there is.
Do you ever scream your opinions into the abyss, hoping we can somehow hear you? Well, now we can. We're going live on the Stereo app where you can ask us your questions directly on the app.
You can find me and Paula almost every Friday on the Stereo app. You download the app, here's what you do, and you follow us on stereo.com/Adam Felber or at stereo.com/Paula Poundstone.
Join us on the Stereo app for usually uncensored opinions and exclusive content. That's almost every Friday.
We're having a great time doing this because what we get to do is Paul and I get to chat informally, but we also get to play live messages from you guys. We love it. Again, that's stereo.com/Adam Felber and stereo.com/Paula Poundstone to get notified every time we go live. And we could do it anytime.
They're not the boss of us.
Healthy snacks have a bad reputation, and let's be honest, they've earned it. They don't taste very good, most of them. They don't fill you up, and they don't satisfy your cravings. But this episode, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is sponsored by Monk Pack, who make snacks that taste like our favorite sugary treats, but with 1 gram of sugar or less.
Here's what I like about this. Monk Pack Keto Nut and Seed Bars contain 1 gram of sugar or less, 2 to 3 grams of net carbs, and they're only 150 calories. So you can put sugar on something else. They're great for anyone following a keto lifestyle and the perfect snack for anyone who's trying to eat better or cut back on sugar and carbs without sacrificing taste.
Monk Pack Keto Nut and Seed Bars have a perfect balance of sweet and salty. They really do. A crunch from the whole nuts and seed, but they still manage to be soft and chewy. They come in delicious flavors like caramel sea salt dark chocolate, and peanut butter dark chocolate. Let me put a little pin in that one, Paula, because I don't think there's better flavors in the world than peanut butter and dark chocolate, and the Monk Pack bars really handle that nicely. Add a little bit of banana, and that's the greatest thing I've ever tasted.
That sounds great. And listen, if you can keep the birds out of your pantry, then it's just the snack bar for you. They're perfect for a quick snack to satisfy your sweet tooth without guilt. Enjoy Monk Pack Keto Nut and Seed Bars as a quick breakfast while running errands or after a workout. In addition to being keto-friendly, the bars are also gluten-free, plant-based, and non-GMO with no soy, trans fat, sugar, alcohols, or artificial colors.
They taste incredible. You can't beat the low sugar nutrition or taste they provide. And by shopping online, you can avoid another trip to the grocery store by getting Monk Pack delivered right to your own door.
So try it for yourself and you'll see. And we have a special deal for our listeners. So if you're thinking about doing it, do it with us. Get 20% off your first purchase of any Monk Pack product by visiting monkpack.com and entering our code Paula at checkout. And Monk Pack is so confident in their product, it's backed up with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't like it for any reason, they'll exchange the product or refund your money, whichever you prefer.
To get started, just go to monkpack.com. That's MUNKPACK.com and select any product. Then enter code PAULA, that's PAULA, at checkout to save 20% off your purchase. That's a lot. Monk Pack, delicious, nutritious food you can count on. We thank them for sponsoring this here podcast.
Thanks, Monk Pack.
Thank you.
On this day in unremarkable history, King George said, No, let him have it. I'm playing the long game.
Thank you, house band Christopher Still, classing up the joint for us on the trumpet. Paula, it is tax time again.
Oh, boy. You know, I'm not so good at the tax. I mean, I actually like paying taxes, by the way, because
Do you?
I want to have, yes, because I want to do my share. But determining what my share is not my strength.
So you don't do your own taxes, have you ever?
No, I never have. I can tabulate the tip in a restaurant, but you don't need to do that anymore.
That's true. That's true and completely unrelated. Well, we are fortunate to have an expert on taxation and the history of taxes right here with us. Dr. Nicolas Duquette is an economist at USC's Saul Price School of Public Policy. His research is in public finance and economic history, with particular interest in the historical development of taxation and spending policy and the private nonprofit sector. Please welcome returning champion Nicolas Duquette.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome back.
Nicholas, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so what is the history of taxation? I know from the Disney animated version of Robin Hood that it was a process quite cruel to the church mice.
And it often can still feel that way if you don't get your papers in order. Well, usually when we talk about the, tax season, of course, we're talking about filing your income tax return, which is now the main way that we pay taxes to the federal government. But, for a long time, that wasn't actually even a thing in the U.S. So up until a little over 100 years ago, the main taxes that we paid to the federal government were either on imported goods, so stuff coming in. They had a whole. They got really upset about taxation without representation and threw all the tea off the ships. And then they got the representation and then just kept taxing. Kept the taxation part pretty much like that. So stuff coming in.
So what was that? So wait, when you say stuff coming in, so if you so they bring tea in from someplace else, and does that mean that the people on the ship who had the tea had to pay taxes? Does that mean that the people who bought the tea, like a cup of tea, they had to pay? Who was paying taxes on
That's
the
right.
tea?
So in order to bring it into
choice.
the United States.
You can't. I don't know how long you've been a professor, but you can't say that's right to a multiple choice.
Well, in a way, it's both. In order to bring the tea into the U.S. or whatever else they were trying to bring in, they would have to get a little stamp or other certificate showing that the tax had been paid. So the person importing it would pay the tax, and then they would charge more for the tea at the tea store in order to make the money back. So the taxes would wind up getting paid by both sides, effectively. But if you wanted to bring tea in, you had to pay the tea tax or the molasses tax or whatever.
Were they
it is that
big
you were trying to bring in.
taxes? Because it seems like overthrowing the reigning government over a slightly more expensive tea is somewhat extreme. I don't want to call our founding fathers a bunch of hotheads, but that seems rash.
Well, they really liked tea. I mean, remember it was a British colony, so
Yeah.
No, you know what it was? It was the Lipton family were just hotheads. And the Celestial Seasoning family, oh my God, they were seditionists.
Oh, the seasonings, yes. They were. Yes, they were. They passed the Tea Act.
Okay, so they started out taxing that way.
That's
and
right.
then why did they change? And how did it change where you were filling out forms and stuff?
That's right. Well, they were charging if you wanted to bring stuff in, and then that wasn't enough money, because it was just tea and things like that. So then they also started to have excise taxes on certain things that were made domestically, mostly alcohol and tobacco. So the two big things.
What does excise mean?
It just means it's a tax on stuff. So like a sales tax, but usually more targeted than that. So there'd be the alcohol tax, there'd be a tobacco tax. There was
Is that sometimes called a sin tax, or is a sin tax just some form of an excise tax?
It's like an excise tax that's more judgmental. So, you can have an excise tax on something that you don't think is particularly bad. But when we tax alcohol or tobacco, we can call it a sin tax because we're trying to make you feel bad about the fact that we're taking your money to pay for stuff when you buy it.
Yeah, half of Fritos is tax. People don't realize it.
But they're worth it.
More than worth it, yeah. All right, so then they did the excise taxes, and then what after that? How did we get to this once a year thing?
So what the big turning point was, they needed two things. First, they needed a constitutional amendment that said the federal government could have a income tax because it had been attempted a couple times in the 1800s and thrown out. So in the 19-teens, that amendment passes and it now becomes possible. Then the other big thing that happens is Prohibition, because one of their big taxes was taxing alcohol, and you can't tax something when you've completely, banned it entirely. So they were getting ready to go into World War I, and they realized, oh my gosh, nobody is drinking this stuff legally anymore. We can't tax it. And so that was really the turning point where the federal income tax became a big deal, and it has been ever since.
I had no idea. I thought it was always that way.
It's been just over 100 years.
Oh, so why is it so complicated? Why isn't there just a number? Why can't you just add up the shit you made and take a percentage and give it to the government? What's with all the what do they call, the
Itemizations and deductions and stuff?
Yeah. And the schedule. What the hell is schedule? What does that have to do with it? Why do they call it schedule?
Well,
That's a lot of questions.
Go ahead. Pick whatever you want to answer.
Pick 2 or 3 of those questions and answer them.
I don't actually know why they call them a schedule. Maybe because they take a little time to finish. I'm going to go back to the first question because I think I can answer that one.
What was the
without
first question?
guessing
Was
quite
that
as much?
was
Why
the
is it
first
so
question-
complicated?
Oh, okay.
I think that was the question.
Yeah. It was.
So every time you have a tax, you're doing 2 things. You're bringing money into the government to pay for stuff, but then you're also creating some kind of incentive, and you're making judgments about who is going to actually pay for that stuff. And so the rules keep getting tweaked and made more complicated, largely because we want to make sure that we don't create incentives to do weird stuff, and we don't try to arrange the system of who is paying for what in a way that we think is unfair. So all
We
of these
already did
extra,
that, though, didn't we?
when we threw the tea off the ship.
No, I don't know when it happened, but I don't feel like taxes are fairly distributed.
Well, I don't know if they are fairly distributed, but that's usually where these rule changes come from. They look at something that is going on and go, hold on, that's a loophole and that's unfair, or these people are paying too much for their ability to pay and they deserve a tax break.
Okay, got you. And when you mentioned incentives earlier, are there incentives to pay taxes?
Oh, well, I mean, if you don't pay taxes, you can get in trouble and then they can come fine you and make you pay even more than you originally owed. But I meant more like incentives to not pay taxes. So,
I see.
Yeah, doing stuff to get out of having to pay it. And then, you create these weird things where everybody, you used to be a person who had an Etsy store and now you're a corporation that has an Etsy store and you're still making the same, doilies. I don't actually know what people put in their Etsy stores.
Right,
doilies. Yeah. They have a doily business.
Doilies. It's mostly doilies.
Yeah, and then you become a doily corporation to get the a different rate. But you're doing the same thing. So these sorts of incentives can lead people to doing stuff that is extra work and doesn't really contribute anything, or it can be incentives that we think are good. So like a sin tax. If you tax then there's less sinning.
Like a child tax credit or a child care credit or things that we think are good in society. We give people tax breaks for them, right?
Right. That's a way of saying that we think that, taking care of children is good and, trying to give people a little bit of a break because childcare is expensive compared to people who don't have those costs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you something, Nicholas. Try living a life without doilies. I think we should have the doily tax credit. I think, in fact, anything on Etsy should anybody selling on Etsy should just get a free ride. That's my feeling. Because
you love crafts.
Try living a life without crafts. It can't be done. It's a colorless world.
I live a craft-free existence.
Oh, jeez. All right. So it got complicated. And
That's right.
When did we first notice people coming up with the loopholes and the advantages, that the kinds of things that made Buffett say to his assistant that she paid higher taxes than he did? And I mean I don't mean Margaritaville. I mean the other Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett doesn't pay a lot of taxes either.
I've told you this before, but I did when I first heard Buffett was like the richest person in the world at some point. I don't think he is anymore, but when I did think it was Jimmy Buffett.
Well, Jimmy Buffett, a lot of people don't realize that there's an entire Jimmy Buffett subculture.
Yeah. Well, I know that now. But anyway, sorry I digress.
Are you a parrot head, Nicholas?
I've heard, I can name probably 3 of his songs, I think. Is that enough?
Not to be a parrot head, no.
Okay.
No.
I mean, there's Margaritaville, and
Yes.
I wrote this song in international waters, so I don't have to pay tax on it, and the one about the cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburger in Paradise, absolutely.
Yeah, those are the hits. Yeah. All right, wait. So when did the kinds of things that make it true for Buffett, non-Beak Buffett, to say to his assistant, she pays higher taxes than he does? When did that start happening?
Well, there's always been this dance between the reforming the tax law and then people finding loopholes or lobbying to get loopholes added to it and then taking advantage of that. And then sooner or later, another reform wave comes around and they change a lot of stuff. And then that always has unintended consequences that some clever lawyer starts to find. So it's a little bit of a mix of the story where people are lobbying and using their position of influence to get favors and just stumbling on stuff that maybe wasn't intended to be that way.
Kind of a whack-a-mole thing?
It is a whack-a-mole thing. So, for example, right now there is a big movement to increase tax rates on people who are very high income. And people will point out that decades ago, the highest tax rate on income was as high as 90%. But the other thing that happened over that time is while the rates were going down, they closed a lot of the loopholes for exactly the types of things that you're talking about. I mean, Warren Buffett still has his, which I think is a special thing where you can, treat it has to do with the fact that as long as he doesn't sell any shares in his company, he doesn't have to pay tax. But, those 90% tax rates, hardly anybody ever actually wound up paying them because there were so many legal ways to reduce your taxable income that I think it was said that in the 1930s when Franklin Roosevelt introduced those high rates for the first time, the only person who actually paid them was John D. Rockefeller because he was just so rich that
he didn't notice.
Yeah, he was.
So that's
that's
where the concept effective tax rate comes in, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there is your tax rate that you actually pay, and then there's the rate that's on the schedule. But if you can wind up finding ways to, take advantage of all of these different advantages that are in the code that provide the, incentive for this and an incentive than that, then you can have a substantial reduction in what you actually have to pay.
And that's intentional. I gotta find those. All right, why don't we? Adam, what did Will Rogers say?
Okay, I thought that's where you were going. Will Rogers said the only difference between death and taxes is death doesn't get worse every time Congress meets. Stay tuned to find out more about taxes and if they can ever get better. The cat of the week is Smoochie from Highland Park, New Jersey.
Hey, Paula, you know what's not fair?
So many things.
So many things, life in general, but also not fair is the fact that Netflix hides thousands of shows and movies from you based on your location and then has the nerve to increase their prices on you. That's right. They've just raised their prices once again. Now, you could just cancel your subscription to protest, or you could be smart about it and make sure you're getting your full money's worth by using ExpressVPN.
Oh, see, you might not know that what's on Netflix in your country is completely different from what someone in the UK or Japan has on theirs. Using ExpressVPN, I can control which country I want Netflix to think I'm in.
Ha! ExpressVPN has over 90 countries to choose from, so every time I run out of stuff to watch, I just switch to another country and unlock new shows and movies. Like right now, Paula, I checked out the Godfather series. It's not on US Netflix, but with just one tap of a button, ExpressVPN let me change my location to Canada to watch The Godfather Parts 1 and 2. And I could have watched Part 3 if I wanted, but I didn't.
Oh, that was wise. Netflix has been trying to track me down for years. And here's the best part. It's not just for Netflix. You can use ExpressVPN to unlock shows on other streaming services too.
I like to use it to watch BBC iPlayer. It's free and only available in the UK, but also available to me. ExpressVPN is also super fast and works on your phone, laptop, even smart TVs, so you can watch your shows on the big screen with zero buffering and zero interference.
So be smart. Stop paying full price for streaming services and only getting access to a fraction of their content. Get your money's worth at expressvpn.com/Poundstone.
They won't know where you are, so they can't even come get you. Don't forget to use our link so you can get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/Poundstone. expressvpn.com/Poundstone, and you'll learn a lot more when you go there.
With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. HelloFresh lets you skip those trips to the grocery store and makes home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit.
HelloFresh offers 25 plus, that's more than 25 sometimes, recipes each week featuring a range of flavors, cuisines, and ingredients so you will not get bored. And eating healthier has never been easier with low-cal, carb-smart, vegetarian, and pescatarian options every week. And no matter what you choose, every single recipe is packed with fresh produce sourced directly from farmers.
I have really enjoyed the HelloFresh meals that I've made.
Me too.
I mean, I've always liked chickpeas just fine, but I haven't exactly known what to do with them. And they had a recipe that involved chickpeas. I think it was the couscous maybe that I had, and you put and vegetables, and then you put broiled chickpeas on top of it with paprika. I don't want to give it away. It was so delicious that I have used that technique in making foods additionally. And the recipes come on like a firm, like a cardboard, a little bit laminated. And so you can save the recipes and do it again.
I have a drawer with a stack of those recipes, and I use them. Go to HelloFresh.com/10Paula and use code 10Paula for, 10 free meals, including free shipping.
Wow, that's great.
That's a lot.
So if you're going to try it out, try it with us. That's HelloFresh.com/10Paula and use code 10Paula for 10 free meals, including free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
And we're back with economist Dr. Nicolas Duquette. Paula?
All right, so Nicholas, I can't do my own taxes because I file in so many states every year, except for this year. And this year I'm making no money in any state, but I think I pay some sort of penalty for that as well. Would it be cheaper for me to just do it myself incorrectly?
Well, there are two ways that doing it yourself might wind up costing you money. The first is that you might overlook something that you are able to deduct or claim as a credit and pay tax that you don't have to and overpay unintentionally. And you know, the IRS will actually inspect your return, and if you make a mistake that they can see, they'll say, we think you overpaid and here's the difference. But a famous study found that about 7% of returns that were audited actually overpaid taxes, and they wound up owing less. So
70%?
7%. Sorry.
Oh, 7%.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I like the. Then I'm just going to go outside the IRS building and chant audit, audit, and see if I can get a little something back. Now, I have to obviously sign the tax return. And I look at the numbers and I do it in front of my accountants, like so they can see that I'm looking at the numbers, so they're not pulling anything. But I don't really think I'm fooling anybody. They know I don't know what I'm looking at. But they have used, because the first time I ever had these particular accountants do my stuff, which was many, many years ago, like, I don't know, 30, 35 years ago maybe. I said to the guy right off the bat, I said, look, I want to pay taxes. I want to pay taxes. It's important. I feel good about doing that. I remember he said to me, he said, well, we're not too aggressive, and they've used that word a number of times with me, we're not going to be too aggressive, which which suggests to me that there's a style of doing taxes as opposed to like a hard, fast rule. Am I right about that?
Absolutely. Well, so much of what you do is open to interpretation. Well, I shouldn't say so much of what you do, because for a lot of people there is no room for aggression. A typical tax filer, you get a W-2 and you get a little thing that says how much you paid in like student loan interest, and then maybe you claim the child tax credit, and that's it. It's like 2 pages, and you've got to add 4 things, and it really is not that complicated to just do it yourself. But other things aren't like that. It's not just a dollar amount that somebody hands you and you go off and punch the calculator until it gives up. So say, for example, that I studied charitable donations. Say you donate a shirt to a thrift store. You are allowed to deduct the fair market value of that shirt, but who's to say what a shirt is really worth? It's more than 0, and it's probably less than $1,000. At least, my shirts are, but there's some range of numbers that you could say, yeah, that shirt was worth, if you said that shirt was worth $2, that probably wouldn't be very aggressive. If you said it was worth, $50, the accountant might say, getting a little aggressive with the, what you said that shirt was worth. But
I think that depends, Nicholas, on whether or not it's a remarkably soft tri-poly blend shirt with self-portrait on the left breast. And a memorable quote on the back, which...
I think the IRS is aware that tri-poly isn't a thing, Paula.
No, oh, no. In fact, the IRS has come to me and said, could we get some of your shirts? So I feel good about that.
All right.
All right, so how does the IRS work? I mean, I think of it as this sort of, big, whale of a building with thousands of worker bees in there that are trying to catch people. That's how I think of the IRS. How many people work there? How do they find cheats?
And how many bees?
Well, the exact way that they decide who's going to get audited every year is actually a very closely guarded secret, because
oh, no, it isn't. The guy who asked me for my shirts, I said, then tell me how you decide who gets audited. And he is a guy named Ed, by the way, who works at the IRS. And he said, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And so I'm good. So that's how they do it. I didn't know you didn't know, or I would have told you right off the bat. I feel terrible keeping secrets. Yeah. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
I'm gonna kind of refocus this question though and say, do we know?
We really don't know, and they very purposefully don't tell us, because if they said, here's the rule we use to decide who gets audited, then people would look at that rule and say, I can go up to this amount without them coming after me, and so they want to keep it ambiguous so that you're not exactly sure what they're going to do. But there are certain things that we know increase the chances that they are going to audit you. If you have things on your tax return that are very hard to be precise about, or that are very easy to get aggressive about. For example, if you have income as a small business, that can be very open to more or less aggressive interpretations about exactly what you did. Those are the kind of people who are likely to get audited. Like if your tax return looks like what we all think Donald Trump's looks like, where you report hundreds of millions of dollars and then say you owe $0, we know that that's somebody who's going to get audited. But it's the people who are in between that who are more ambiguous.
Would you say that one of the things that might make them take a second look is a lot of crossouts? Because that's, because when I look over what my accountants do, I say to them, could you white this out instead of crossing it out? Because I think this is going to attract unnecessary attention.
Yeah, and you know what I did, Paula, which I regret, because it's definitely what I think led to my audit, is like when I listed all these deductions, after several of the dollar amounts, I wrote, yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah, that and emojis. Don't use emojis. I just want to caution people right now. Okay, Trump kept saying he couldn't show his taxes because he was under audit, and it turns out there's no such rule. But in fact, because some people kept saying, well, how could you be under audit for that long? But apparently he has been under audit for like 10 years. Is the IRS understaffed?
Very understaffed. The number of returns they can audit has been going down every year for a long time. And that's because their budget keeps getting cut.
Because nobody likes them.
Right. They're the people who make you pay your taxes. So for people who don't really think about what their role is in the system, it sounds like a tax cut to hear that the IRS is, they're losing their jobs too. Yeah, let's get them. But they're the people who make sure that everybody else is more or less playing by the rules. And so if we don't have enough auditors, you're more likely to be able to, sneak something by them without it getting caught. It's kind of like when Trump was saying that we wouldn't have so many COVID cases if we would just stop doing all of these tests. Technically, there wouldn't have been as many confirmed cases if we didn't test so much. But the looking for it isn't the same thing as the actual problem.
So if you're an average Joe or average Jane, the kind of person you described who pays off a W-2 and not much else, it's really in their best interest for the IRS to have lots of people auditing.
Absolutely. That can increase your confidence that everybody else is paying what they're supposed to pay. And so people like Paula who like paying taxes and having public services can feel happy knowing that, even people who aren't so positive about it are still playing by the same rules.
I don't want my taxes to be misused. It kills me that my taxes, have been used to put children in cages, right? But I do want to do my share. In fact, I have a great idea now that we're talking about that. They don't have enough staffing at the IRS. You know how you can adopt a highway? What if on your tax return form, there was a question, do you want to adopt an IRS guy?
Auditor.
or woman. Yeah. Do you want to, I would do that. I would supply an auditor.
You would subsidize the IRS, basically.
I just think it's kind of a beautiful story when you do it that way. It's like
you get a picture of the accountant you adopted every month, and with a little progress report on how he's doing.
And they write you a letter.
Dear Paula.
Every so often they write you a letter, and at holidays they write you a letter. I think that would be so great.
It would really humanize the IRS in a big way too.
Oh! My auditor loves to be scritched just under his jawbone.
Now I feel like we've gone somewhere else with this now.
Well, now it's like one of those things where you're, where you're adopting an animal. But
yes.
You're not actually, because my auditor does. They love to be scritched just under the jawbone. And,
I think a lot of auditors do.
Yeah, and after that, they can see that graft. Whoo, boy, can they spot con work. So is there something that one should do when you get audited? Like, do you go with your tax preparer? Do you not? Are you allowed to not go and just send the tax preparer? Are there rules to getting audited?
Well, so you're supposed to keep all of your papers from the tax return, your past few tax returns, in a folder somewhere, and then if you get audited, you got to pull them out and go through it together. I've never personally been audited, but the main problem with it is just that it's a time suck. Where you get to all go through your papers together and they check every little thing that you did. Or, I don't know, maybe in this case, they go to your tax preparer and say, how has this been the same every single year? And it's their problem. But, that's the real problem with auditing. It's not friendly and it takes a lot of time because they check everything. But, it's not like being dragged away in handcuffs.
Why do you get a tax break if you donate to a nonprofit? Is there evidence that people would not donate to nonprofits if there wasn't a tax break?
They already do. Most people have actually not been eligible to take that deduction since it was invented. And especially after the 2017 tax law, only about 11% of tax returns filed the schedule where you can take that deduction. So most people, more than half of Americans donate to charity and they're getting no tax benefit from doing it. So people will definitely make charitable donations even without that rule. But the reason why it does seem to be the case that when we do let people take that deduction and when they know they're going to be eligible for it, then they do tend to give more, especially the, like high income philanthropists who, can plan out to get the biggest bang for buck by making very large donations to their favorite causes, the Bill Gates Foundation and so on.
Yeah, exactly. After Jeff Bezos and the like have, raped and pillaged financially the land, then they can go, aren't I
I'm going to give a little back.
Yeah. Why not just make a tax that pays for nonprofits?
Well, we have that too. A lot of organizations have their biggest source of funding comes from government grants or government contracts. So they're already doing that as well. To me, the biggest thing that we get out of the donation deduction is that people will donate to stuff that, for whatever reason, we don't want to spend tax money on. For church and state reasons, churches are obviously a big example. But then there's things like Bill Gates has spent a lot of money on vaccine research, even way back when the U.S. federal government wasn't interested in it.
Before it was
shelters, cool. Yeah, before it was cool. When he was just the Windows guy, and then he was also doing vaccines. And everyone was like, "Yeah, Bill Gates, vaccines, computer virus, okay." But like animal shelters too, most of them get most of their donations from people giving voluntarily, not from the Animal Control Bureau.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that people really care about that get done because of charitable giving that I don't think, maybe it is possible, but right now it's not the case that we spend public money on it. So, it's a nice mix and match. There's some of the stuff that gets paid for by tax dollars given to the nonprofit sector, and then there's, stuff that we do out of our own pockets.
Yeah, we do it out of our own pockets, yeah. Well, Dr. Duquette, thanks for auditing our knowledge of taxes. It seems like it was not very deep, ours knowledge, that is. But now we're going to take our new information and run it through the old Poundstonator. Paula.
House band Christopher Still, taxes can be dry, so let's drench what the Poundstonator spits out in a little background music. Thanks. And now we return to the Discovery Channel in-depth documentary on taxes. Of course, the colonists objected to the levying of a tax on their beloved tea. We don't want to pay for tea tax. We want to fill out long forms with schedules. That's right, with schedules. What's a schedule? Like, I can't pay that tax right now. It doesn't fit in my schedule. We'll be back after this message. Won't you give to adopt an IRS auditor? For less than the price of a cup of coffee a day, you can give less than a cup of coffee a day to an IRS auditor. A one-time contribution of $20 can provide a much-needed necktie or scarf for an IRS auditor. Do they even know it's tax season?
Oh.
He is an economist at USC's Saul Price School of Public Policy. Dr. Duquette, thanks so much for returning to our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks, Nicholas. You were great. Thank you so much.
That was fun.
Coming up, questions. We're sharing our favorite nuggets of wisdom, including the Pythagorean maxim. That's coming up right after this.
Make your mark in the new year with comfortable, washable, and sustainable shoes and bags from Rothy's.
Rothy's has transformed over 70 million bottles into beautiful shoes. Also handbags and face masks. Another major bonus, Rothy's are fully machine washable. Just toss them puppies in the washing machine whenever they need a refresh.
This is such a great idea. I had just been putting shoes over my face, but
you
Rothy's...
Yeah.
They make shoes, but they also make face masks. I have a pair of flats that are, when I chose a color that wasn't something I would usually wear, and I wouldn't even usually wear flats like these, but I gotta say, they make me look very kicky and they're very comfortable.
Check out all the amazing shoes, bags, and masks available right now at rothys.com/nobody. That's rothys.com, ROTHYS.com/nobody.
Style and sustainability meet to create your new favorites. Head to rothys.com/nobody today. With the new year, we're all trying to eat better, but healthy breakfast doesn't have to be boring. Magic Spoon has the amazing flavors that you love, but without all the bad stuff.
And Magic Spoon has released a brand new variety pack now featuring peanut butter. That's right, they released peanut butter as a limited edition flavor way back in 2020, and it sold out 3 times. Peanut butter has gotten so much love, they've decided to keep it permanent and added to the bestsellers variety pack, which also includes frosted, fruity, and cocoa.
Magic Spoon has 0 sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free, and only 140 calories per serving.
Now, Paula, we don't say exactly what old-timey, beloved breakfast cereals Magic Spoon tastes like, but they taste a hell of a lot like those unnamed cereals. Again, their consistent flavors are frosted, blank, fruity, blank, and cocoa, blank. Those are great flavors, and they taste fantastic. And adding peanut butter, which tastes like identical to my favorite childhood peanut butter cereal, is a huge move.
Go to magicspoon.com/Paula to grab a variety pack and try it today. If you're going to do it anyways, do it with us. And be sure to use our promo code Paula at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. Boy, that's confident. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked.
It's 100% happiness and over 100 years. If a century from now you still don't like that Magic Spoon food, just return it. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/Paula and use the code Paula to save $5. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
Thanks, Magic Spoon.
Fun fact, approximately 10 to 20% of U.S. power outages are caused by squirrels, who apparently still haven't learned not to use a hairdryer while the AC is running. Hey, Paula, you might have noticed, I think our listeners have too, that we are fond of quotations around here. We use them between segments of the show because, as Brendan Behan wrote, a quotation is like a rifle in the hands of an infantryman. It speaks with authority. So let's get some authority going here. We have asked our crew to bring in their favorite quotations.
I got one.
What do you got, Paula? Break it out. We need a good name for this segment, too, like Quote Party or something.
Yeah, Bonnie will write a theme song, no doubt. Lose your leg, lose your leg, lose your leg.
Who said that? Who said that?
Who said that? Who said that? Who said that?
I guarantee you, Tony is Googling leg quotes.
You know,
I'm
she
right
is.
not Googling right now. I'm just sitting here quietly listening.
No, you know what? Right after Adam's fun fact, Tony was Googling squirrels. I know she was. I felt it. All right. So this is a very familiar quote, which is, of course, Ben Franklin said, a penny saved is a penny earned. But let me just say this about that. That will really fuck up your books.
Right. Because you're counting that 20 twice, and then the auditors are going to find that and be like, sir, you earned a penny and saved a penny, but there's still only one penny.
Exactly. It's you know, you got nothing in a sea of W-2s that way.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, look, we should probably look back at Ben Franklin's books and see if he was declaring 2 pennies for every penny he got.
Yeah. Yeah. Guy died penniless, by the way.
Well, he never saved him. He just said he should.
Yeah.
Well, that's
no, he said,
lovely.
he said, "Do as I
lovely
say,
quote.
not as I do." That was his too.
That was also his quote too. Well,
Yeah.
I have a quote that's also kind of a familiar one, but it is my favorite quote about literacy. Are you ready for it? Here
Yeah.
it comes. Outside of a dog, a book is man's best friend. Inside of a dog, it's too dark to read. That's Groucho Marx.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's right about that.
He is absolutely right about it. And he was a
Yeah.
passionate advocate for literacy as well as dogs.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
Mrs. Who's the woman I always liked? Oh, come on, help me out.
Margaret Dumont. Yeah,
Margaret
just
Dumont.
the best.
Oh my gosh, I love her. Oh, Mr. Quackenbush. All right.
Oh, wow. Maybe she can call sometime.
She's dead. I had.
Bonnie just stepped out of the show and put on her producer hat. Bonnie,
Oh
come
my
on back
gosh.
in here.
So let's get the quotes a popping.
Bonnie,
Okay.
edify us.
Well, I have 2. One of them is from
Of course you
Dorothy
do.
Parker. Of
Okay.
course I
One of-
do. One of them's from Dorothy Parker, and it is, "The cure for boredom is curiosity. There is no cure for curiosity."
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a cure for curiosity. Tony, why don't you tell us what it is?
Man. When you Google what is the cure for curiosity, it just brings up the Dorothy Parker quote.
Oh, it does?
How do you
See,
know that?
I didn't really think you were Googling that.
Well, since
See?
you had already
She
made fun
was.
of me for doing it, I might as well just do it. It's like if I
Why don't you
accuse me
Google
of killing someone.
Why don't you Google
Tony, that's like saying, well, since you just accused me of having a heroin problem, I see no reason not to shoot up right now in my eyeball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are the impeachment hearings over? Because Trump is really missing not having Tony on his team.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
a fabulous
stop
legal
it.
argument fabulous legal argument you just made. They were going to do it anyways. Tony Anita Hull.
Tony, as long as we've got you under the microscope, what's your quote?
No, wait. I have my other one. I have a second one.
I forgot.
I thought we were all
Okay.
over that as a nation, but okay, Bonnie.
No. Here
All right,
we go.
get ready to Google, Tony. Get ready.
Okay, get set. Here we go. Optimism. One of the most important qualities of a good leader is optimism, a pragmatic enthusiasm for what can be achieved. Even in the face of difficult choices and less than ideal outcomes, an optimistic leader does not yield to pessimism. Simply put, people are not motivated or energized by pessimists. And that is from a guy named Bob Iger, who Paula and I actually know, who wrote a book called The Right of a Lifetime, Lessons Learned from 15 Years as CEO of the Walt Disney Company.
I think he's wrong.
But I think he has a really good point about the optimism.
I think he could have said it a little shorter, but yes, he has a very good point.
It's a long quote. It is a long quote. But the optimism, if you have a negative leader, that's really an uphill battle.
So this is Eisner?
Yeah, Bob Iger.
Oh, Bob Iger.
Not Eisner.
Now, what I would suggest, Bob, if you're listening, or Bob's family, I would go back in there and just go with the sentence, leaders should be optimistic because no one wants to follow a negative leader. Because your entire quote says nothing more than that. I hate to sound pessimistic, but I don't like I don't like the prospects for Iger's book's future.
All right, wait. How about this, Bob Iger and family? How about this? Few footprints follow the trail of a whiner.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
kinda
both
wish-
sagacious. That's both sagacious like mine, but also colorful, and there's a metaphor involved. And Paula, you are a better writer than Bob Iger.
Well, I don't know about that.
Nope, you are.
No, you are. Bob Iger may have had a writer go with him on this journey.
Well, that guy deserves to be fired because this is just
So it
overly
took two writers
wordy.
to come up with that? Really?
No, isn't there an analogy here for you guys? Like, say, when you're doing improv or acting, if you have somebody working with you who goes like, well, that isn't good, and, blah, 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 and they squelch an idea right away, isn't that kind of like a killer in terms of moving forward?
Yes, negative. No, I agree that negative. I agree with the quote, Bonnie. If you're saying that negative people don't make as good leaders as optimists, I think in general that's true. I think the captain of the Titanic maybe should have been more realistic. Personally, I think there's a time when being optimistic about the how your boat's going to be doing over the next couple hours, it might not be the best thing. But
Well, okay. But yeah, you know what, though? A lot of what the captain of the Titanic said didn't get written down. He had a tremendous amount of optimism where other people wouldn't have. For example,
that's true.
this is a quote from him. He said, "I think we can live down here."
here, I found another one. I just Googled him. I found another one. He said, people, you might notice it's getting a little humid in here.
No, he
Just
said,
really
"Is it
optimistic."
me? Is it
Yeah.
me, or is it getting here? Stop Googling.
I'm not Googling. That's not a real.
Boy.
I was joking. He didn't
stop
really say
Googling.
that. What are you doing?
He did.
Oh, here's
No, he did.
here's another great quote from the captain of the Titanic. Free salt water, everybody.
That was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, Google is a great tool.
If only we had some dough, we could make pretzels. That was
So
his.
we could put it on a stick and fry it.
All right, wait, Tony. Tony, did you do a quote? Did you give us a
Yeah.
quote yet?
No.
Not yet. Bonnie had two.
Oh,
That was her
yeah.
second.
Oh. Crucify me for that. Oh, I was being pessimistic.
Well, that wasn't really a
gosh,
crucifixion.
Tony.
What happened to
understand
Bob
what you're
Iger's
saying.
champion of positivity? Go
Yeah,
ahead,
I was
Tony.
going to say, good for you, Tony.
I think Bob Iger
Good
put
for
it
you
best
for
when he
waiting
said,
for me.
I don't even know what's happening.
I think Bob Iger put it best when he said, this is the part of the show where we're going to ask Tony Anita Hull to recite her quote. We've prepared this in advance, and this is the part where we do that. And so with very little further
great
ado,
job, Adam.
I would like to ask Tony Anita Hull to offer up that aforementioned quote.
Good work, Adam.
Bob, paid by the word Iger. All right, Tony, go ahead.
So I chose a quote from Anita Luz, who wrote Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. She's one of my favorite writers in the world. She also is a screenwriter in the silent film era and very successful. I've been published
You're right.
writing about her. So, take that.
Wow.
It is so the human heart behaves through all its ups, downs, tears, laughter, and harrowing surprises. Well, my friend, that is life and art as they've got to be, either in or out of the show shops. Show shops. That's
The
a
show
lot
shop?
to say. Show shops.
Show shock?
Show shops.
What a great
Either
quote.
in or out of the show shops.
That was a great
shops.
quote. Good for you, Tony.
I feel like you're patronizing me, Bonnie, and I don't
don't-
appreciate it.
Well, look,
No, it
Bonnie's,
was a great
Bonnie's,
quote.
Bonnie's not one to talk because she's the one who quoted Bob Iger reading the phone book. So
It's one of my
she doesn't
favorite
have a leg to stand
quotes.
on.
But
Can you
what's
say
a
it again?
show
I don't
shop?
think I followed it. I don't think I
Yeah,
followed
what's
it.
a
I need
show
it again.
shop? Wait a
I don't
minute.
think I did.
What's
No,
a show
I did.
shop?
It was great.
I'm not talking to any of you right now, so you can just move on.
No, I'm asking you to say it again.
Wait a minute. I just have Amy Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar, how was Tony's quote?
It was really good. She's a really good American. I'm so proud of her.
Do you know that just recently Joe Biden said to Amy Klobuchar, I feel like you're patronizing me and I don't like it.
All right, if Tony's not going to
What's
offer it
a
up
show
again.
shop? What's a show shop?
No, never mind. You know, it just cut everything.
Tony, I think we just
She's
didn't
not
hear you.
talking
It's-
to us. She's not talking
we're
to
literally
us.
saying we just didn't hear you.
I don't know what a show.
I'm crying.
Well, stop crying and tell us what a show shock is.
No,
It's a show shop. A show
Show
shop.
shop. Show shop. Shop with a B. Shop. Show
She
Space
sells show
shop.
shops by the seashore.
show shop. Oh my god.
No wonder she wrote
Anita-
silent films.
Oh my god, no, she wrote. Okay, you know what? Everyone can shove it.
Oh, you were saying shove it, not show shop.
Show shops.
What
No,
is
she
a
wrote the
show
women.
shop? Is it a sexual term?
No. Oh, I can't deal with it. I can't right now. It's too much. I'm sorry.
That was
it-
really
okay,
good,
wait.
Tony. That was really good.
I don't. Oh my god.
Oh, oh, okay. Wait. Does a show shop suck some sort of unwanted substance out of a baby?
You know when you Google show shop, it takes you to a website for riding apparel.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Remember when you bought that expensive shirt for your daughter?
Yeah, the show shirt. Yeah, those
know-
are
you know-
expensive.
You can tell that Anita Luz was a writer and not a speaker because, you know, show shop is fine on the page, but boy, try to say it at the end of a quote.
Is it really show shop?
We've angered Tony, and now she won't tell us what show shop means. That's our punishment. That's it.
Well, it serves us right.
Her lips are sealed. We'll never get it out of her what show shop is. And you know what? We deserve that. I just want to say, I can't speak for all of us, but I
I
deserve.
hate the quote segment.
I don't like it. I think it worked out really, really well.
Okay, now, and thus lacking a theme song for it, we come to the end of our quote bonanza tonight. Paula, what's going on in your Poundstone product empire this week?
Wow.
Well, Adam, I don't know if you heard about the name change on my product empire. It's now Show Shop.
That actually fits.
Oh, yeah.
Adam, the mission of Poundstone Industries is to meet the needs of the American people and some Icelandians. The way we are doing that currently is by offering my book, The Totally Unscientific Study of the Search for Human Happiness, in paperback, or the audio version, which is on CD. Kirkus Reviews said of it, the concept of a comedian doing a series of stunts to find happiness seems like a pure romp, and there are plenty of great laughs, but that's not the whole story. A deeply revealing memoir in which the pathos doesn't kill the humor, delivers more than it promises. I recommend that people get it from their local bookstore, but if your local bookstore doesn't have it, you can find The Totally Unscientific Study of the Search for Human Happiness at the online store at my website at paulapoundstone.com. Or you can get it at the show shop. And if that doesn't give you everything you need to go on, I also make video messages for your friends, loved ones, neighbors, and former bosses at cameo.com/PaulaP33. Here's a sample. Hi, Darren, it's me, Paula Poundstone, reaching out to you on behalf of Cindy. You remember Cindy, who gave you 10 years of her working life without you ever giving her a promotion? Well, Cindy would like you to know that she hopes that you're all well, and that the widgets are flying off the shelves, and that she now runs Paramount Studios. That's cameo.com/PaulaP33.
Well, that sounds great. I know I'll be going to cameo.com/PaulaP33 to send some messages to try to repair some relationships in my life where people were saying things about each other's quotes that I'm sure they didn't mean. All right, subscribe to this podcast. It's free. You get it every week at no charge. And hey, if there's something you want to hear about, something you're curious about that you want to hear us talk about on the show, drop us a line at nobodylistenstopaulapoundstone@gmail.com. Once again, that's nobodylistenstopaulapoundstone@gmail.com, and that is our show. Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone is hosted by Paula Poundstone and yours truly, Adam Leffelber. Special thanks to our guest, Dr. Nicolas Duquette.
Yay!
And how about that house band trumpeter, Christopher Still?
Oh, my gosh. So
Yeah, he was great. Our show is produced by Paula Poundstone, Adam Felber, Bonnie Burns, Ken Lezebnik, and Tony Anita Hull. Mixing by Michael Hoagie. Starburns production by Land Romo. Transcription services for the show provided by Transcribe Me, a premier internationally used transcription service. Use code Paula Poundstone when placing your order at transcribeme.com to receive an expedited service.
That's our show for tonight. Won't somebody please listen to me?
Didn't you mean to say that's our show shop for tonight? Won't somebody please listen to me? Yeah.
What is show shop? And why is Tony guarding it so carefully?
I think she felt like there was some pressure coming on her from Bonnie Burns, and so we were never going to get that quote again. And I'll be damned if I'll Google it.
Show shop. Show shop. Remember that song One Tin Soldier?
Yes.
And then they turned over like a thing, and show shop was all it said. Do you remember that?
Yeah. All it said on the bottom was show shop.
Yeah. One tin soldier. Da 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 da.
I had a friend who his one entire act that he did was seeing how many marshmallows he could get into his mouth while playing One Tin Soldier.
Oh my gosh. I would watch that.
Maybe it's show stock.
I think it was show shop.
Shop.
What was the rest
Doesn't
of it
make
about?
any sense.
Boy, we poked that beehive. I think she's asleep. And just from her sleep, she's going to show shop.
She sat bolt upright in bed and yelled, "Show shop!"
Oh my gosh.
She's laughing.
Anita Luz is looking down from heaven right now. Saying to Tony, tell them what show shop is.
I Googled Anita Lou's quote, show shop, and nothing came up. There was something about us. What? It's not show shop?
No, you're not going to find it on the internet.
Oh, she's not going to let you find it.
Oh. There was something about when your play's not successful. Something about a play not successful, what to hawk.
I will not have you
That
reading me Anita Lou's quotes from the internet.
Yeah, right.
Starbane's Audio.
A podcast network.
Stereo is a free live broadcast social platform that enables people to have real conversations in real time. Listen to this. This is a clip from an earlier stereo conversation between me and Adam Felber and our listeners.
Alberta, you're on the line.
My prediction for 2021 is fucking zombies.
Wow.
Really?
Now, I'm going to
I've
ask
never-
for clarification here, because are you predicting that there's going to be zombies? You know, fucking zombies? Or are you predicting that people are going to be fucking zombies?
That's what it sounded like. And I thought to myself, I've really never lusted after a zombie before. But we could go each other. That I'm not going to fuck a zombie, but but I'd be happy to chat. Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone is excited to offer our listeners a new way to interact with us.
To find out about the day and time, you can download the Stereo app and follow me or Paula. That's at Paula Poundstone or at Adam Felber once you download the app. Or keep an eye on our Facebook page or our Twitter feeds, and you'll know when the next show is coming up.
On the Facebook page or the Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone website, right?
That's exactly right. Go to www.stereo.com/@Paula Poundstone @Adam Felber, and then you can get started, and you'll be taken right to our pages. Remember, Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone. We're having live audience interactive episodes on Stereo pretty much once a week now. So join us.